cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers. Happy Tuesday, November 12th to all of you. Thank you for watching Sportsbook Review. This is Betting with the Bag. We have a massive card, 9 NHL games, 8 NBA games. In 24 minutes, Junior Browne, one of the stars of Jammin' with J Money, will be joining us. 25 minutes after that, Teddy Covers will be joining us. We have a lot of work to do. 2-0 in NBA last night, 1-0 in NHL last night, and I gave it all back. And then I hit the over in NFL, but give it all back with 4 losses and prop bets. That was extremely, extremely irritating. And then gave it back with some college basketball plays that I know I will get back on today's Late Show with Maxwell Smart. Max had a good night. It's just the spots that I followed were bad. And I should be coming in here happy, and I'm not. But thankful to be here with you guys. Shout out to all the cappers in chat. Cobra Sports 609 says, I'm looking at Montreal -1.5. Montreal team total over 3.5. Blues -1.5. Panthers, Bruins over. Let's get it. I capped every game. But it was almost as if like I was just creating content. I was, 17 games, and I was a late night on Liveline last night, and 17 games, so I was up very early this morning, and I don't know if I'm thinking that clearly. I've not made any moves thus far. Shout out to Moses Saucedo, Tommy Bolt, Joe Anisi in the house, Carlos Peroge. Moses Saucedo having a nice night last night. I love it. Look at that. Look at that. What a beautiful night. Eric Nisbet in the house. JF said San Francisco demonstrated that they don't have a primetime quarterback. Smoke and mirrors. Jimmy G was atrocious. Right from the get-go. I was surprised to see him that bad. Nutfleshon says, hope you guys were able to tail both props given out on the show yesterday. Nutfleshon, why am I going on my own props? I should have been rolling with you. Ethan Payson in the house. We got Naeem, 25, Taberk, McKinney, Matt Randall. Also jumped on that Raptors +3. I love it. Great job. 3 games left on 17 parlay. Matt Randall, get it. Unbelievable. Alex Bennett, Tomar says that Sanders injury hurt 49ers would kill out already. San Francisco receivers were horrible. There's Tata Booker joining us. Vishnu Ace, Akira, Sportsman of the Year. So I see we were trying to drink the pain away last night. I was. Maybe a little too much. We got AM, Tri Sawyer, Nate the Great, AM, Titty, Barbecue Sauce Play of the Day, Seahawks, Moneyline, plus 205, I believe he got that. What a job, AM. Eaton over there. DX Filer, Eddie Euler, D Boston. All right, we have a big card, so let's get right after. Tata Booker says I need some good picks today. Yeah, I can't believe it should have just, oh God, yesterday really was bothersome. With the NFL hitting the over, hitting the plus 140 on the Coyotes' first period, which I just absolutely love that bet. Going 2-0, breaking down the pace of the Jazz game perfectly, having the Raptors first quarter, and then I'm still angry. It's just upsetting. It's upsetting. All right, let's get after it. I'm happy to hear that you cashed that. Slats, the Bookie Bandit, ready to go. Anna Merrick, Paco Healy, Antoine Seymour. All right, let's get after it. So we have 21 minutes to break down these 9 NHL games. We're going to have to work quickly. There's Dom Ricci in the house. Eddie always had tailed that South Dakota loser, as did I. And Scott middled myself out of a sure win on the Clippers total win last night. Yeah, it was those teams on the second half of back-to-back are falling apart in the fourth quarters, but they're worth backing in the first quarters, and we got to make money off it. The NBA is going according to form right now, sitting at 17-10 on the season. All right, let's get after it. NHL, sportsbookreview.com on the SBR odds page. Let's get after it. We're going to start with Florida, Boston. Going to go do spreads and totals here. We're using Pinnacle opening lines. We will move to 5 dimes when Max joins us for this giant NCAA basketball card. Florida, Boston. Boston opening up at -172. They're now at -158, a 14-cent move towards the Panthers. This total opened up at 6 and is now at 6.5. And why wouldn't you jump on the over? I don't know if you wanted at 6.5, but at 6, why wouldn't you? At this point, Bobrovsky playing terrible, and the Panthers are scoring. Bobrovsky, 6-3-4, 3.39 goals against average, .884 save percentage. Not a good signing. I really think that you've got to draft a goalie and bring him into your system and have your goalie coaches work with him and get him for a decent dollar. Remember when the Blackhawks were winning all their Stanley Cups, they were playing nothing for their goaltending. Tuukka Rask, on the other hand, with the Bruins, 7-2-1, 1.99 goals against average, .933 save percentage. If I have the wrong goalies, please let me know. Please let me know. There's Richie Rich in the house. in the house. You are a very kind man, Nut Flush, Alan, and Princess C says you look puffy, Jimmy. Yes, I feel puffy. All right, Bruins are dealing with injuries. So Torrey Krug did not practice. He's important to their power play. Jake DeBrusk, lower body. Brett Ritchie and David Backes are, bottom six forwards, but still dealing with injuries. Boston has not looked very good lately. 3-2 shootout loss to the Flyers on Sunday. Florida beat the Rangers 6-5, and that's what they have to do, it looks like, because they're not getting anything from Bobrovsky. Uyghur exited Sunday after blocking a shot with his head in the second period. And again, Bobrovsky's been bad. Mally Mouse says Boston are nothing here. The Don liking the Bruins -1.5. I don't know if this is a time for the Bruins to get right. I think this is a hungry Panthers side. I'm not going to jump on these Bruins. Dom Ricci's on the Rangers under 6.5 so far. Manny Sanchez liking Boston first period. Mr. Gocher says true, Bob's is not fitting in well. And Nilo saying Rask is confirmed, but not anything yet for Florida. There's chump change in the house. Tomino says I think Florida's defense is a bigger issue than goaltending. I agree with that. And Ekblad has never stepped up in the way Hedman has. Great job, Richie Rich Eaton. Richie Rich Eaton. I'm going to need to take some time here, and I don't want to hum and haw over games because we only have 18 more minutes to break down all these games. Let's move on to Jackets, Canadians, Merzlikins, and Carey Price. We have Elvis in the building. He's not looked very good so far. 3.89 goals against average, 882 save percentage. Carey Price looking okay. 2.71 goals against average, 914 save percentage. The Jackets, 14.3% power play and 76.5% penalty killing. They're going to keep losing games. If your special teams aren't rolling in the NHL right now, you're going to keep losing games. Look at the Bruins, 29.85% power play, 84.6% penalty killing. Richie Rich saying Boston is too much public. There we have Matt Randall, paint play of the day. Ooh, in college basketball, 2-unit look for Matt Randall. WMU, Mississippi Valley State. Wow, that's exciting. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste that. Thank you. Darmy says I'll have more for the late show. Looking forward to that. There is Yellow Jesus in the house. Let's keep rolling. Matt Reynolds saying do not sleep on this taint. And Corey Lewis saying Panthers goalie won't lose 3 in a row. I don't know, man. I really don't know what we're going to deal with Bobrovsky right now. He's an interesting guy, and he just doesn't seem settled in right now. Jin Rummy says Bruins under 6.5 has small value to me, and that's all recency bias. Oh, going to the over. Yes. When is Bobrovsky going to step up is the question. Manny Sanchez says Blue Jackets get a win in the air. Jin Rummy liking the Jackets at +165. Montreal opening up at -176 now, -171. This total sitting at 6 has moved 5 cents towards the over. Montreal 5-1-1 over their last 7. I still do not believe in this team. 72.2% penalty killing, not very good, but the Jackets power play can't take advantage of the weakness of the Habs penalty killing. Montreal coming off a 3-2 win at home over the Kings on Saturday night. Scored 3 goals in the first period, took their foot off the gas. They were lucky to hold on for the win. Shea Weber scored 2 goals. Now his 101 power play goals. What a career he has had. Only 12 defensemen have ever scored over 100 power play goals. Blue Jackets also will be without Foligno. 3-game suspension for elbowing Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. The Jackets fell to 1-5-1 in their last 7. They've been outscored 26-14. They're not playing good hockey. I agree that the opportunity to take a plus line with the Jackets is enticing. But I don't know if I'm certainly not going to make a move on the Habs. And this total juice to the over at 6. I wonder if the under is in play. All right, I guess I'll just kind of leave a slight lean to the under. Let's keep rolling along. Next up, Penguins, Rangers, Matt Murray, Alexander Georgiev. The Rangers opening up as, oh, wow. So Pens open up at -121. They're now at -132. This total sitting at 6.5 is just too high. It's just too high. But I know this may sound crazy. If I'm taking an under with the Penguins, I want Crosby in the lineup. Crosby's out for the next 2 games due to a lower body injury. Penguins are 4-1-1 in their last 6 games. Malkin will play his 5th game since returning from missing a month with lower body injury. He's 2-1-1 since he returned. Malkin loves this opportunity. Malkin loves this. Number one line centerman. He wants to be the go-to guy on this hockey team, and he'll step up in this situation. Rangers 5-2-1 over the last 8. They're playing good hockey. Swept back-to-back with Detroit and Carolina, and then 6-5 shootout loss to the Panthers on Sunday afternoon. Panarin playing well on an 8-game point streak. Panarin and Strome looking good with Zibanejad out of the lineup. Pittsburgh 11-3-2 last 16 meetings with New York, and 7-1-2 in their last 10 visits to New York. Interesting. Let's see. The Rodzwacki loving the Jackets today. I can understand back in that under 6.5. I don't think I'm going to make a move on it. Nilo saying Georgiev is confirmed with the Rangers. Let's move on to Coyotes, Blues, Kemper, Binnington. Binnington playing very, very good hockey right now. Let's see what we're dealing with in this spot. Arizona, St. Louis. St. Louis opening up a -162. That's where they stand right now. This total at 5.5 is juiced to the under. Don Reed says Crosby out. Rangers playing decent. I like this under. Rangers definitely playing hard. They're young but slowly gelling into a team. AM says Malcolm wants to be a star. Trade Kessel or I go back to Russia. That was an interesting move he made in the offseason. And let's keep rolling with Kemper and Binnington. So the Blues are 12-3-3 with a +6 goal differential. We did this well last year. If you remember last year, we would take a team that had won 7 in a row, with 5 of the games being in overtime. And it was actually these Blues that we did it to. They went into Chicago. We took Chicago to beat them. And America, we've been discussing how to work it in right now, where we've been discussing we love your UFC content, and we know that there's a big UFC contest that you will be starring in next month. I'm working on that, working on figuring that out right now. Eddie Euler on the Coyotes Blues under. Coyotes Blues under. Blues are 7-1-0 since Tarasenko sustained that left injury. I wonder if we go right back to a Coyotes first period. Past 7 games, Ryan O'Reilly, 4 goals, 7 assists. Perron, 3 goals, 7 assists. They've both stepped up as when they become the first line, basically, on this hockey team. Coyotes second half of a back-to-back 4-3 shootout over the Capitals last night. Kemper has lost his last 2 starts. He's allowed 7 goals on 57 shots, and he's not a number one. And if Ranta doesn't take over that number one spot, then these Coyotes are in trouble. There's my guy, Phil 9 in the house. Richie Rich Blues lean under. Kemper saved for a reason. He's not playing that well. Tom Marino says Blues are playing great right now, but I want to bet them as a dog on the road, not favorites at home. Eddie Euler liking the Blues -1 and the under 5.5. AM says right back to the well. I don't know. I do not know if it's a back to the well spot. Not right now. I don't trust Kemper. Blues are playing good hockey. Coyotes get Brad Richardson back from injury. Jason Demers as well. Clayton Keller, goal, 6 assists, 8 career games against his hometown Blues. Keller always steps up when he plays against St. Louis. Mr. Gosa says he'll be good today, I think. I don't know. Coyotes also are doing terrible on the power play. 0 for 16 over their last 5 games. And that's brought their power play down to 16.1%. Remember, it was god-awful last year. And then they bring in Kessel. We think that their power play is going to step up, and it's not. There's 40-ounce beer belly dude in the house. Mr. Goxer says Ranta was not good last night. Good chance for Darcy. And America says, I don't think the Yotes want a shootout. I like the under or pass. Anthony Devontae, Columbus, Blue Jackets +1.5 play of the day, and Pittsburgh money line close second for my guy Anthony Devontae. Okay, let's keep rolling along here. Avalanche, Jets, Pavel Francouz is the starter now that we've seen an injury to Philip Grubauer. So Philip Grubauer is hurt. Lower body injury. So Pavel Francouz, 3 consecutive starts. Francouz looked good, stopping 39 and 41 shots against Columbus on Saturday. I think this kid's going to, well, he's not that young, but I think he's going to be a good goalie here. Avs, 3.65 goals per game, 2.88 allowed, 19.7% power play, 82.8% penalty killing. Jets, 17.2% power play, 73% penalty killing, and they have stepped up. 2-game winning streak, 4-0-1 this month. 5th time this season the Jets have won after trailing through the first 2 periods. That's the most of any NHL team. They had been tied with the Flames. Jets are 3-0-0 in division play so far. The Avalanche won the past 3 meetings between these 2 clubs after going 0-4-1, 5-game stretch when they were dealing with massive injuries to that front line of Landeskog and Rantanen. Colorado's rebounded with victories over the Predators and the Jackets and scored 13 goals. They're playing good hockey. They are playing good hockey. And the Avalanche, I'm still hesitant to back Winnipeg, but I think here at minus 120, then it might be a look. So Winnipeg opens up at minus 126. They're now at minus 120. The Jets are playing good hockey. Avalanche feel good about themselves. Now they go back. Now they go out on the road. Do we want to start trusting this Jets team? That's the question. Bud Nino says, what about the Jets Avs total? Darmy says Jets are a lean for sure. Is Rodzwak Jets money line? Avs are 1-7 last 8 in Winnipeg. Tormino says Colorado's been a streaky team. They're playing well right now. The total in Colorado, Winnipeg at 6.5, a 4-cent, open at 6. Wow, Pinnacle's moved at 6.5. What am I talking about? 6 everywhere else. Richie Rich leaning Winnipeg. Nilo says Winnipeg is a decent play. I wonder if Winnipeg is the spot here. All right, I'm just going to leave that as an L right now. Let's move on to Predators, Canucks, Rene Markstrom. Sadly, I wasn't fading the Canucks over this road trip. I've been telling you over and over again, they are not as good as their record indicates. 21.9% power play, 84.4% penalty killing, good special teams. Pred 78.9% penalty killing. That is something the Canucks can take advantage of. Over the last 4 games, Canucks have scored 5 goals. 5 goals. 0-3-1 over those 4 games, coming off 2-1 loss at home to the Devils on Sunday night. Darmage said, the beauty of NHL, Jim, we have no need to force it. Absolutely. Rod Zwack says, yes, Jimmy Jets are buy on right now. They're rolling and having fun doing it. Jimmy saying minus 120 is fair, in the fair range for these Jets. Sportsman of the Year, Lucky Lefty on Vancouver money line, Oilers money line, Red Wings, Anaheim over 6 in a 3-team parlay. There's Colf Coleone in the house. I'm going to copy and paste our guy Lucky Lefty's action. All right, let's keep rolling. We only have 8 minutes until we are going to be joined by Junior Browne. 8 minutes till we be joined by Junior Browne. Canucks have won just once since an 8-1-1 run. They're coming off a 2-1 loss at home to New Jersey on Sunday night. What up, Astute Chaos? I wish I had. You are capping very well right now. Tormino says Vancouver offense is struggling. I lean Nashville. Teams aren't looking past Vancouver anymore. Predators are coming off a 2-1 defeat, losing Saturday at San Jose in a game that went to the 7th round of a shootout. Nashville's 4th loss in 5 games. They allowed 9 goals 2 nights earlier at Colorado. And Mr. Gogzer says Nashville's been awful on the road recently. 3-3-1 on the road. Nashville opening up at minus 106. Now at minus 108. This is a tricky NHL card. Let's move on to Red Wings Ducks. Not sure if Howard or Bernier will be in net. Gibson in the other net. 6-8-0, 2.80 goals against average, .915 save percentage. Wings have a 16.1% power play, 68.3% penalty killing. Terrible penalty killing, but we know the Ducks can't take advantage of that with their 8.55% power play. They're not a good hockey team. Robbie Fabry. Man, this guy had 2 ACL tears, and he's been traded to Detroit, and he's got a new lease on life. Pair of power play goals in his debut 4-2 victory over Boston on Friday. A goal and no assist in 9 games with the Blues, and now he's moved over to these Red Wings. Red Wings are playing good hockey. All right, let's keep rolling along here. Detroit will be without Abdelkader. He was injured Sunday. Mid-body injury. Ducks carried 3-game losing streak into the game. They were beaten up by the Oilers 6-2 on Sunday following a 4-day layoff, and Getzlaf was not happy. He spoke in the dressing room. He's not happy with the way the Ducks played. They're going to come out angry here. Mr. Gogster, Detroit, Anaheim, over. There are a couple 5.5s on the board. It opened at 5.5, and it's now at 6. Wow, look at me not making any moves right now. Let's move on to Wild and the Kings. Minnesota playing good hockey. They opened up at minus 106. They're now at minus 112. Kings power play, 11.1%. Penalty killing, 70.5%. They're going to keep losing. Wild have won twice in 3 games. That was a pretty nice little tour there. Anaheim, San Jose, Arizona. The only defeat was against the Sharks in that 6-5 loss, but they stepped up. They were down 5-2 going into the third and made a game of it. Wild beat the Kings 5-1 at home October 26th, largest margin of victory in any of Minnesota's wins this season. Kings Opened a month with a victory over Chicago, then went 0-2-1. Just finished a road trip through Canada. Now they are back. They were outscored 9-5 on the road trip. One victory in their past 8 games. Richie Rich says, love the Ducks tonight. There's your first period money line on Anaheim. They are going to come out angry, but I like the Red Wings right now and don't want to fade them. Oh, Ronnie Christie, I was terrible with those prop bets. I know exactly what you're saying. My friend. Okay, Wild Kings. I don't want to sit here and have these road favorites, especially for a Wild team that's 3-9-0 on the road. But they're playing good hockey. They're playing good hockey. Now the Kings are coming back home. I expect the Wild to continue to play good hockey. And I think this total of 6 should go under. Bleds W loving the Wild puck line. Mally Mal says Nashville win, easy pick. Rod's Wacky, Detroit money line in under 6. Should we make a move on the Wild right now? We only have 1 game left to cap, 4 minutes. Neil says Kings are old and slow. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Oh, that sucks. I hate hearing that top set. Richie Rich says, come on, Jimmy, it's all about the spot. I just think that the Red Wings feel good about themselves right now. I hear you, Richie Rich, but I think the Wild are playing good hockey. Been on the road for a little while, come into LA and beat them. That's what I think is going to happen. Nilo says, Kings coming home. First game is usually a home loss. All right, I'm going to take the Minnesota Wild on the -1 line. On the -1 line. I don't trust Stalock that much. Ugh. Eddie Oler saying Wild won 5-1 in their first meeting. I don't expect why would let me just see quickly here what's going on with this. Make sure, is it going to be Stalock in that? It shouldn't be Stalock, right? They'll get Duber back in. You don't point a rat's enough fact you liking the Kings under 6. I like that as well. I like both those looks. I get it, Richie Rich. Okay, so I'm going to make a move here on the Minnesota Wild and the under 6 here in Minnesota. Okay, so I'm going to take Minnesota on the -1 line. I'm getting a -111 money line. Here we go. -111 is the money line. And the -1.5. Let's go to point spreads here. The -1.5 is plus 230. Plus 230, that's available at William Hill and 5 dimes. And then I'm also going to take this under 6 in the Minnesota LA game here, under 6. And I am getting -105. Under 6, -105. All right, book it. First action, finally in. Eddie Euler leaning Wild Kings over 5.5. I will be making this 6. I don't, you just take what the NHL gives you. And the Wild with Zuccarello in the lineup is a different team, different than last year. Okay, so I'm locked in. Now we have Oilers, Sharks, Koskinen, Jones. Sharks concluding a 6-game homestand. Coming off a 2-1 shootout win over Nashville. They've won 3 straight games. Oilers come in after that 6-2 beat-up of the Ducks. Got to think that the Sharks are in a nice spot here. Let's see what we're dealing with quickly. Bleds W on the -1.5, 205. That's too bad. That's too bad that that's the best because there's better numbers out there. Okay, we're going to be going into NBA in 1 minute. Let's just look at this San Jose spot, -137. I expect the Sharks to be a better hockey team. And Edmonton feeling good about themselves, beating up an Anaheim team that did not look good. Do I make a move here? Couple nights for the Oilers. Okay, you know what? I agree, Richie Rich. I'm going to jump on the Sharks as well. That will be another -1 spot. I'm getting -131. -131 money line. And then on the -1.5 puck line. This is the last game on the card. Then we'll break down this big NBA card with our guy, Junior Browne, who is ready to rock with us. I'm getting a +187. plus 187 on an undercover cop there at Heritage, minus 1.5 at plus 187. All right, so there are moves that I've made in this game, and I wonder, I think that the Sharks are going to keep playing stronger defensively, but let's not trust them on the puck line. Okay, I've got 2 looks on this card. I'm on the Wild on the -1 line and the under 6, and I'm also on the Sharks on the -1 line. There you have it. Eddie Oilers says Oilers -1.5 plus 310 is tempting. Remo saying McDavid scored a sick goal versus the Ducks. Look, McDavid, 13th fastest in NHL history to record 400 points with that hat trick. All right, let's move on, and let's welcome to the show, star of Jammin' with J Money, our guy, Junior Browne, joining us on this Tuesday morning. Junior Browne, how you doing, my man?
What's up, brother? How you feeling?
Feeling good. Nice night on the court yesterday for me. I hit the Raptors first quarter and the over in the Jazz Warriors game, 2 plays and cashed them. So I feel good. I really feel like NBA is going sort of according to form at this point in the season, and I feel confident with these moves. How have you been in NBA lately?
Last week I was pretty up and down. Started off the week yesterday again at 500. I hit. It's funny. The NBA, because it's such a long season, it's such a long grind. You can get pretty frustrated with certain spots. Like I win one, lose one, win one, lose one. But last night I missed the under 218 in the Celtics Mavs game. I don't know if you saw that. There's all of a sudden in the last 2 minutes, nobody can miss a shot. People are getting and ones. Absurd. I missed that by a couple of points, but then I hit the Raptors under in the Clippers game last night. That game went as expected. 2 defensive teams. The Raptors had gotten 43 points from a bench mob full of guys that have barely played the entire season. I knew that wasn't going to happen again. So just looking to get back on track this week and stop, getting in this cycle where I'm spinning my wheels here.
Well, let's get after it. We absolutely love having you on the show, loving your insights. Let's get to work right now. Let's start breaking down these games. Let's start with the Thunder Pacers. Pacers at -3, 3s across the board, open at 3, stayed at 3, but this total is shot up. Open at 209.5 at Pinnacle, now 213.5. Pacers have won 6 of 7. They're stepping up. They're getting distribution. They're playing good basketball, and it's Sabonis leading the way. 4 straight double-doubles, coming off 21 and 16 in that win on Sunday against Orlando. Warren playing good basketball. We know what Brogdon is doing. McDermott stepping up. McConnell contributing off the bench. They are doing well without Oladipo, and Miles Turner still waiting for him to come back from that ankle injury. OKC playing with heart. Steven Adams, 3rd time this season out with a left knee contusion. Nerlens Noel comes in, looks okay. And 7 OKC players scored in double digits in that tight loss to Milwaukee on Sunday. Schroeder came off the bench with 25 points. Thunder, Pacers, how are you making moves here, Junior?
I don't have an official play on this game, but if I did, I lean Pacers. They just look a lot better after starting off the season really slow. The one thing that kind of had me hesitant to touch this game was the Pacers point guard situation. But as you just mentioned, TJ McConnell has played a lot better. I hesitate with that situation because if you look at the strength of the OKC Thunder, it's their guard play. It's Chris Paul. It's Gilgeous-Alexander, and even Dennis Schroeder. Now, they've gotten good Dennis Schroeder. He's still averaging a few too many turnovers, but he has a clear advantage almost every single night coming off the bench against other guards. You saw it in their last game against Milwaukee. He scored 25 against them. And, the Thunder were in that game. It was 114 with a couple seconds left until Brook Lopez hit a 3. They've been looking pretty frisky, but I do lean Pacers here. I just think that they just look good overall. They're getting a lot of contributions from a lot of different guys. Like, for example, against Orlando, they had 5 players in double figures. Against the Pistons, they had 7 players in double figures. Against the Wizards, they've had 7 players in double figures. So that's 3 straight games now. You're getting multiple guys contributing to the win. I think that them being at home, I just lean Pacers because they seem to be rolling. Their offense has jumped up to 9th in the league in offensive rating. So there's something happening here with the Pacers. I don't have a play in this game, but if I touch it, I would lean Pacers -3 here.
Yeah, it's Is it because the Thunder are playing so well that it's such a short number? Are you surprised that it's such a short number for the Pacers at home and after winning 6 of 7?
No, because if you look at what Oklahoma City does well, they defend the perimeter very well. Like I know you just mentioned Steven Adams and Nerlens Noel. Nerlens Noel obviously gives them rim protection. Steven Adams gives them just toughness and overall rebounding. But the strength of their team is like, if you look, I think they're number 2 in three-point defense, and they're actually making threes. I think they're 7th in the league right now in three-point percentage. They don't take a whole lot of them, and the Pacers don't take a whole lot of threes either, so that shouldn't be an issue. But I just think that the number reflects the respect that people are showing for Oklahoma City's, first of all, their overall toughness. They're just a tough out against any team. And the Pacers, I wouldn't say they're a perimeter-oriented team because Domantas Sabonis, to me, is their best player. I know Malcolm Brogdon has been putting up big numbers, but Domantas Sabonis is the key. As long as he's rolling, which he has been recently, I think that they'll continue to roll, which is why I lead Pacers.
Interesting spot. Okay, let's move on. I'm not making a move on that. Let's move on to Cavs and Sixers. Cavs, a game under 500, getting quality play from a lot of guys. Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, Colin Sexton. They're playing much better basketball than we expected. Beeline giving them hope. Cleveland, Philly opening total at 214.5, shot up to 219. Philly opening up at -11, now 10s on the board, and 2 9.5s, even 2 9.5s. Let's talk about Cavs 2-3 on the road. Sixers 3-0 at home. We're expecting to have no Ben Simmons with that sprained right shoulder, but he hasn't been ruled out yet. Sixers lost road games in Phoenix, Utah, and Denver, and then came back home and beat the Hornets by 8 points on Sunday. Tobias Harris doing some of the distribution without Simmons. Had a nice game against Hornets. 14, 7 boards, 5 assists. Shake Milton out as well. And man, these Cavs are surprising. How are you handling Cavaliers Sixers?
I would lean towards the under here. I have no official play because Al Horford is not playing. And I think that you just mentioned something really important. So the Sixers are without Ben Simmons, who's obviously their number one distributor. But Al Horford is actually really their second best playmaker. Like, if you just look at their overall statistic, Al Horford is second on the team in assist percentage. He's number 1 in assist to turnover ratio. And I think missing him is going to – they already have a very shaky half-court offense. Without him, their half-court offense isn't going to look good. I'm also not too sure what's going on with Joel Embiid. Like, he came back in that game against Utah. I was shocked to see that they played him 35 minutes in that game. He played well, but he didn't shoot well, but he got to the line 18 times. He was really aggressive. They still ended up losing. But if you look at his numbers since that game, he hasn't played 30 minutes in the following 2 games. His shooting percentage is right around like 40%. And he's a guy who gets to the line a lot. He hasn't even gotten to the line 10 times in either of those games since that Utah game. Not saying he's hurt, but he's definitely not 100%. So you got an Embiid that's not really looking right. You've got no Al Horford, which takes away even more playmaking. You got no Ben Simmons. It's just such a big number. Like, I'm not going to lay double digits with, you know what I'm saying, 40% of their starting lineup out. I just can't do that. So I lean towards the under 216 in this spot.
Strange that that total is being bet up so high. Robert Cherry says Cavs under, guys. My over-under rate this year for NBA is sick, guys. Jam with me. Interesting. Wow. It's gone up 5 points? I wonder if that
I don't get it at all, to be honest. I'm still trying to figure out what that's about, but I'm all over the under here.
Wow, all over the under. And it's got to come back down, you got to think. Okay, let's move on to Pistons, Heat, Detroit, Miami. This total opened up at 216.5. It's still there at some books. Some Pinnacle at 217, Bookmaker at 216. Miami opening up at -8. Now we have 7.5s across the board. Pistons on the second half of a back-to-back after that loss to Minnesota last night, 120-114. They get Blake Griffin back. They get Derrick Rose back. Will either of them be in the lineup tonight? is the question. Rose missed 4 consecutive games. He comes back, 6 points, 5 assists, 3 boards, 2 steals, 1 block, no turnovers. That's pretty good. He did shoot 3 for 13 from the floor. Blake, 19 points, 7 boards, 6 assists, 4 turnovers in 24 minutes. So we don't know if they're going to be in the lineup right now. Miami 3-0 at home. They've been off since Friday. They had this weird waiter situation with the edible on the plane. Just get rid of him. I can't believe he's got another $25 million contract for next year. Nunn, third on the team with 16.6 points a game. Hero playing well as well. Then they've got Butler, Adebayo, Dragic. Butler playing well. This is a good basketball team. Justice Winslow has missed 4 of the past 5 games due to back stiffness and recently a concussion. He won't be in the lineup tonight. Do the Heat keep rolling against the tired Pistons squad?
Yeah, so you mentioned tired Pistons squad, and that actually is the reason why this is my play of the day. One of my official plays, I got Heat -7, and not only are the Pistons in a really bad spot coming off a back-to-back, traveling all the way down to Miami, Blake Griffin's probably not going to play. I mean, I don't see how you're going to play a guy in back-to-back situations to start the season with the injury history he has. Rose could be on limited minutes, but the most important thing, this morning when I woke up, I check, obviously, but as I'm checking the lines, I always check every team's official page and their beat writers. And one of the Pistons.com beat writers who was on the flight tweeted that they left at 2 a.m., landed in Miami at 5:20, checked into the hotel this morning at 6 a.m. So they just went to bed this morning at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and now they got to go to play Miami on a back-to-back situation with Miami not having played since Friday. I'm all over the Heat -7 in this situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. I will jump on that with you. I will tail that. -7.5 and -105 at Heritage and 5 dimes. -7.5 and -105 for these Miami Heat. That's my first look on this card. Tailing our guy, Junior Browne. Let's move on to Knicks Bulls. Bulls open up at -5.5. Now 6s across the board. This total opening at 213. Now 212.5s across the board. New York's lost 8 of 10 games this year, 1-5 on the road. Bulls have won 3 of 10 games, 1-3 at home. And we remember when they met earlier, Bulls in complete control of the game, and then Knicks take it late. Portis went for 28 in that game. Both Fizdale and Boylan sound like they're going to get fired in the next month right now. Knicks coming off a 108-87 loss to the Cavs on Sunday. Barrett held to single digits in back-to-back games for the first time in his career, averaging 15.5. Chicago coming off that 117-94 loss to the Rockets on Saturday night. No Otto Porter on the wing, and they need him on the wing. Chandler Hutchison is just not doing the job, but he wasn't bad. I take that back. Against Houston, 6 of 10, 13 points. Knicks, Bulls, 2 bad basketball teams. Do you have an edge here?
Yes, so anyone that watches Jamming with J Money will know that I absolutely can't stand this Chicago Bulls team. I think Jim Boylan should have been fired already. I don't understand why he's still there. He's got a pretty decent group of young players who don't seem to be responding to his tactics. As for the Knicks, listen, the Knicks were surviving on the fact that R.J. Barrett was playing better than you would have expected a rookie to play in his first couple of games. He's obviously come back to life. In the last 3 games, he's 9 for 32 from the field. So now you're relying on, big man. The big dude, Julius Randle. Sorry about that. So you're relying on Julius Randle to be your best player, not only from a scoring standpoint, but from a playmaking standpoint. And I've always said this about Julius Randle because people think I hate him. Julius Randle on a good team is like a 7th, 8th man on a very good playoff team. If he's in your starting lineup, your team's not good. It's just really that simple. If he's your best player, you're god-awful. So I just look at it, it would be Chicago or nothing. But then can I lay 6 points with the Chicago team? I don't even know who they are. They don't really have an identity. 2 bad basketball teams, 2 coaches with 1 foot out the door. You can never get me to put money on this nonsense.
Agreed. Let's not make moves on these 2 terrible basketball teams. All right, let's move on to Lakers Suns. Lakers open up at -2, now 2.5s across the board. This total opened up at 217 and is now at 219. Lakers have won 7 of their first 9, but coming off a very fun loss for us Toronto Raptor fans, 113-104 to Toronto on Sunday. LeBron James, triple-double, but that's an ugly loss to a short-handed Raptors squad. Davis dealing with this right shoulder. How do they keep playing him? I don't expect them to keep playing. If every time he bumps into somebody, he's got a right shoulder issue, then he should be rested. And Vogel said it's possible he could rest Davis. I can't understand for the life of me why they wouldn't rest him right now. He says, quote unquote, there's really never a play I don't feel it. But I'm going to go out there and play. I try not to let it affect my game. I just play through it and then worry about taking care of it after the game. This makes no sense to me. Suns 6-3 off to their best start since 2009-2010. They 37 assists on 52 baskets with only 7 turnovers against Brooklyn. This is a good basketball team. How are you handling Lakers Suns?
It's funny that you say that. So I lean Lakers here for a couple of different reasons. If you look at the Suns, so the Suns have, shoot the highest field goal percentage in the league. They're making shots. Devin Booker, he's playing out of his mind. He's unstoppable. Like, if he wasn't playing in Phoenix, this would be a much bigger story because he's absolutely on fire. He looks like he's taken the next step in his evolution as a player. But if you just look at how Phoenix is successful, their guys, so other than Devin Booker, their main guys so far have been Baines has been playing really well. Kelly Oubre looks like a completely new guy. He looks like the 5-star prospect that he was in high school, that he was supposed to be, that he didn't really live up to in Washington. And they're getting good play from Rubio. They're getting good play from Bridges off the bench. They're getting a lot of contribution from a lot of guys. But if you look deeper into how they like to do things, for example, Oubre's getting 54% of his shots are at the rim. Miles Bridges, 51% of his shots at the rim. Aaron Baines, we know how he likes to play. That's not a good spot against this Lakers team who have 3 of the best shot blockers in the NBA. Phoenix doesn't really get too many offensive rebounds either, and they're definitely not going to get any against this Lakers team. So they're going to have to shoot a high percentage to win this game, and that's what the Lakers have been doing best all season, is keeping teams to very low field goal percentages, not giving up anything around the rim, not giving up second chance points. And I think that Phoenix is going to have a hard time scoring points against this Lakers team. For that reason, I lean more towards the Lakers in this spot.
Would you wait to make sure that the Browne's in the lineup?
Yes, because that's a huge part of why I lean towards the Lakers. Like, if you look at the matchup, is Dario Saric stopping Antonio Davis? Absolutely not. Now, as tough as Baines is, I feel like Davis is just too versatile of a big man, and he can bring Baines away from the basket where he's not so comfortable. I just think that Davis himself is a really bad matchup for this team. I also think LeBron, even though he got a triple-double in the last game, he was 5 for 15 from the field. I expect a huge bounce back from LeBron. I just don't like this matchup specifically for the Suns here.
Very interesting. I'm looking forward to this game. And speaking of very interesting, money coming in on the Detroit Pistons. Intertops has moved it to 6.5. 5 Dimes has moved it to 6.5. Pinnacle has moved it to 7. Bet Online just moved to 7. UWager just moved to 7. Unbelievable. Heritage just moved to 7. Wow.
I love it, Jimmy. Love it.
Wow. Unbelievable. Okay, let's keep rolling next. That's nuts. After you break down the game the way you did, that money would be coming in on them. It's just crazy to me. Let's go Nets, Jazz, Brooklyn, Utah. Utah opening up at -6.5. Now 7s across the board. This total opening up 217. Now 219.5 and 220 at Pinnacle. I really felt good about breaking down this Jazz game last night and breaking down what I expected the Warriors to do, running the ball and then being out of position around the perimeter. And they're already a bad team defending the perimeter. And the Jazz are hitting their threes. And it was just beat the total by, 22 points or so. Felt very good. But this is a trickier situation with the Nets here. Jazz looking for their 6th straight home win. They're the only undefeated team at home in the Western Conference. Got a couple out east with the Heat and the Sixers, but only 3 games for them. Jazz on the second half of a back-to-back. As I said, 122-108 in Frisco last night. Shot 49.4% from the floor. 16 three-pointers. It was exactly what I said I expected to see, although I didn't have the Jazz on the spread. Rudy Gobert, 25 and 14. He bitched in the media, hit 11 of 12 shots last night. He's playing good basketball. 3 of the Jazz's wins in this home streak were by 5 points or fewer. Brooklyn playing the third game of a season-high 5-game road trip. Irving scored 20 in each of the first 8 games he's played, but was held to a season-low 15 points Sunday when they lost 139 to 112. The big talk in the locker room was defense. They were playing no defense against Phoenix. Is it possible that they step up right now? They're allowing 121.7 points per game, second last in the NBA. Nets, Jazz, Junior.
Is it possible that Brooklyn steps up on defense? No. Their defense is trash. They don't care about defending right now. I think Kenny Atkins is a very good coach, and he plans on changing that. Their problem here is they have, as far as I know, Karis LeVert's not playing in this game. Now, when you look at the way that Brooklyn gets points, essentially everybody on their team is – people are trying to blame Kyrie, saying, oh, they don't move the ball anymore. But just watch their games. When Kyrie, Karis LeVert, or Spencer Dinwiddie have the ball, if they're not passing to each other, they're not passing to anybody else. So if you take Karis LeVert out of that lineup now, where are the points coming from? I just think that this is a team that relies so heavily on those 3 guards that taking out any one of them really hampers them. On the flip side, if you look at how Utah's been playing in the last game, Golden State's trash, so we just say we expected them to win that game. But they beat a very tough Bucks team. They beat a very tough Sixers team. Mike Conley has put together a couple of good games in a row. Bogdanovich looks better. Their bench looks better. They're trending up. Brooklyn, they're trending down. If they're definitely not trending up. They're basically spinning their wheels or trending down. I think Jazz easily win this game. This is 2 of my official plays. I've got Jazz first quarter -2. I don't love that number, but I just believe they're going to come out and punch them in the mouth. I've got Jazz first half -3.5.
I like the first quarter, first half with the Jazz. I like teams early off of a back-to-back, even if they play well in the back-to-back. And interesting. Okay. I'm going to spend a little more time thinking about that spot. Let's move on to Hawks-Nuggets. Hawks-Nuggets here. Denver opening up at -11. That's where they stand. Total opening up at 214.5. It's 212 at Pinnacle, 211 everywhere else, and 210.5 at Bookmaker. By the way, the 6.5s were at 4 different books. Were all snapped up. So they're gone. Back to 7s across the board for the Heat. No more 6.5s. 4 books had them, and they were snapped up immediately. All right, let's talk Hawks-Nuggets. Jokic was called out. He wasn't being authoritative. He needed to step up, and he's done that with 2 game-winning jumpers. 21-point fourth quarter comeback for the Nuggets against Philadelphia on Friday. Hawks have lost 3 straight, 6 of 7, and this is their second game of a 5-game Western road swing for the Hawks. How are you handling Hawks-Nuggets?
I don't have an official play on this game. If I did, I would lean Nuggets early here. I don't like the way the Nuggets look, and the reason why I don't have an official play on this game is because Jamal Murray tweaked his ankle in the last game. I don't know what his status is, but he was on fire in that last game, tweaked his ankle, came back into the game, and was 0 for 8 for the rest of the game. He obviously wasn't right. I don't really know what the status of his ankle is, but he's not going to be – you don't sprain your ankle and then you're okay like 2 days later. I play basketball. Anyone who's ever played basketball knows he's not going to be okay. And I think that their offense it's still a work in progress, to put it kindly. They're one of the worst offensive rated teams in the league. And I think once you take Jamal Murray out of there, it's just too much of a wild card. If I did have anything on this game, I would lean Denver first half, but in my personal opinion, I know Jokic hit a game winner in their last game, but he hasn't looked right to me all season. In my opinion, he looks out of shape. I know people always point to the fact that he's not athletic, so it just seems like he's out of shape. No, he looks out of shape. He looks slow. A lot of times he looks disinterested. He's been called out by his coach already twice this season, and they've only played like 10 games. So that, to me, tells its own story. I need to see the Denver Nuggets put some wins together. And again, I know they've won a couple of games, But I've watched those games. They were not impressive in any of those games, in my opinion. They won because they were the better team, but they're a team that has aspirations of being top 4 in the West, and I don't think that they look like that right now. That being said, I definitely cannot invest money in the Hawks, who they're just asking Trae Young to do too much, on top of the fact that he naturally tends to try to do too much. It's Denver early or nothing for me in this spot.
That was a great breakdown. Very, very, very interesting stuff, and loved it. Final game on the card is Blazers-Kings. Final game on the card. Kings started rolling. Kings started playing better basketball, and now no De'Aaron Fox sprained his ankle during practice Monday. Expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks. Oh, that hurts. 19.8 points, 8 assists. He's a very good point guard. Now, they got our guy, Corey Joseph, whom we know well, and he's serviceable. He's a serviceable point guard. But De'Aaron Fox is an elite point guard. Sacramento scored 95 or fewer points 3 of its first 4 games. They were losing badly, and now, a 2-1 road trip. They beat Atlanta 121-109 on Friday. They're playing, and they showed us in that Toronto game that this is a team that's, I know we make fun of their coach and things of that nature, but this is a team that has skill. Do they have skill when they're not going to have De'Aaron Fox? Bogdanovich playing well. Trevor Ariza. This team can shoot. 6 players scored 13 or more points in that win over the Hawks. And Ariza giving them defense. They're not a bad team. Who might be a bad team? The Blazers right now. Lillard doing everything. Hassan Whiteside playing fine, and yet they're barely beating or losing to bad teams, sitting at 4-6 on the season. Blazers, Kings, Junior Browne. How are you handling this?
I would not touch this game at all. And here are my reasons. First of all, if you look at Portland's forwards, just their forward depth, just who they have as forwards, in my opinion, they have some of the worst forwards in the NBA. Hassan Whiteside hasn't been good since like 2014, so anyone expecting him to be good, don't hold your breath. Right now it's Dame or nothing. CJ McCollum is struggling big time. He's a great player, and I believe in him. But until he shows some kind of life, I can't back this team. You score 60 points. A guy on your team scores 60 points and you lose. That tells you everything you need to know about these guys. They've been struggling for a solid 2 weeks now. They haven't looked good. They have 1 win against a pretty bad team. I can't. For me, in this spot, it's Sacramento. The Kings have shown signs of life. I just hesitate because of what you started off with. De'Aaron Fox being out, they're not good enough to lose a guy that talented and survive. So I just really have no feel for what side to pick in this game. So just stay away from me.
It's a stay away. I think that makes sense right now. Although Kings open up as 1-point favorites. Now the Blazers are 2-point favorites. The Kings, even without De'Aaron Fox, are somewhat appealing here. But you're right. Maybe it's better to sit back and study. There you have it. There is the entire NBA card broken down by our guy, Junior Browne. Follow this guy on Twitter. Follow our man, JB, on Twitter. It's at JR Browne, BROWNE 21. At JR Browne 21. Follow him on Twitter. A great follow and great stuff. JB, can you break down your official plays once more?
Absolutely, sir. I've got the Heat -7. I've got the Jazz -2 first quarter, Jazz -3.5 first half.
I like those Jazz plays early. Eric Nisbet says Miami Heat -7, best NBA bet all day. Much love to you, Junior Browne. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a big card that we needed help with, so thank you so much, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your day. Watch Jammin' with J Money, 1 p.m. Eastern, Monday through to Saturday, and watch Junior Browne and J Money break down this card. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, sir. Anytime you need me, just holler.
I love it.
Low baggers, enjoy the show. Have a good day. Good luck to everybody.
I love it. There he is, Junior Browne. We go right from Junior Browne to Teddy Covers. Teddy Covers coming to us live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Teddy Covers, how are you doing on this Tuesday morning?
Well, I'm okay. I didn't enjoy Monday Night Football last night at all, so I've had better Tuesdays, but I'm okay. How about yourself, Jimmy?
It was a really strange day for me yesterday. I went 2-0 in NBA, 1-0 with the plus 140 on Coyotes first period in NHL. I hit the over in the NFL game, but I made 4 prop bets at $100 a pop, all on the ground game, and I lost them all. And it was irritating. It was very, very irritating, and it messed up a great day. But I'm ready to attack this card and get right back at it. But, God, it was very, very, very irritating. And as a Niners fan, the game was irritating last night. Is Jimmy G a below-average quarterback? Is that what the Niners have?
No. What happened last night was Manny Sanders got hurt on a night where Kittle was already out. And it's not like the 49ers have a ton of good pass-catching weapons. You know, the Pettises of the world aren't getting open these days. So what happened, once Sanders was out without Kittle, nobody was open. I mean, literally, Garoppolo was holding the ball so long because there wasn't anybody there. There are a bunch of passes that he threw that hit his receivers in the hand. You know, Yushik dropped one. One of the interceptions was on a pass that hit his receivers in the hands. I didn't blame Garoppolo at all for last night's loss. That was injuries and injuries within the game, which is nothing you're going to do anything about pre-kickoff.
I hear that, but right from the very first pass, that was about 8 feet, 10 feet to the left of the receiver, I was like, God, I just felt like he was, I understand that they weren't getting open, but he just didn't seem his accuracy just seemed to, I was questioning his accuracy throughout the game, and it was a bothersome game. It should have been a great day yesterday, and it wasn't. But I'm looking forward to break down this card here. We just finished breaking down the 8 NBA basketball games. Do you have any moves on this NBA card?
I made 2 plays tonight in the NBA. I took Cleveland plus 10.5. I think it's down to 10 now. Yeah, it's 10 in Philly. One, I didn't expect Simmons to play, but I don't really care if Simmons plays or not. I wouldn't have any hesitation taking the Cavs plus if Simmons was in the lineup. But Philly's not a team that's playing defense to lay double digits with right now. They're really not. You look at the last 5 games, giving up 49% shooting, and the rotations haven't been there. If you've been watching the Sixers, they're a step slow right now. They're not a team I'm comfortable laying doubles with. And all the Cavs are doing is getting better, man. The veterans have bought in, and that was the key. Kevin Love has bought in. Tristan Thompson has bought in to Bayline's system. And, we've seen the Cavs already with back-to-back upset wins on this road trip. I thought 10.5 points was too much, even in a game that I don't expect Cleveland to win. I don't see this as a blowout. And I laid 6 with the Bulls. Actually, I laid 5.5 with the Bulls last night. I told my clients advised my clients to lay 6 with the Bulls this morning. I think that Chicago, okay, number 1 is we're betting against the Knicks at every reasonable opportunity. Number 2 is that the Knicks, the Bulls played the Knicks already this year. They were up 18 in the fourth quarter. They lost the game. The game closed on a 15-0 Knicks run. Bobby Portis went nuts against his former teammates. And I saw some Wendell Carter quotes this morning. Made me very last night and this morning. Made me very interested in the Chicago side here. It's a bounce-back spot for the Bulls, and I'm looking to bet against the Knicks at every reasonable opportunity. So I like the Bulls in revenge. I like the Bulls with an opponent that they will want to get after. I like the Bulls off a game in which they were, 4 and 26 from three-point land. They couldn't hit anything against the Rockets the other night. And I was willing to lay the price with Chicago tonight. So I laid 5.5. I like it even at 6. At 6.5, I wouldn't talk yet, but I think the Bulls win this game by margin.
Interesting breakdowns. I am going to jump with you on the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. I do not expect Simmons in the lineup, and Horford's going to be rested. There's a 10.5 at Heritage, and I'm going to jump with you on that. I'm going to jump on the plus 10.5 that Heritage is offering, and that's at minus 105. So I'm adding that. I'm already on the Heat when we got that information about they didn't land in Miami till 5:30 in the morning. So I don't expect Griffin or Rose to be back in the lineup on the second half of a back-to-back. So I'm on the Heat minus 7.5. And while we were talking, we saw money coming in on the Pistons. Went down to 6.5 for a second. Then it went down to 7. And now, look, it's back at 8. So Bookmaker had this at 6.5 about 20 minutes ago. It's at 8 now. Heritage is at 8 as well. There was 4 6.5s on the board 15 minutes ago, and that sadly happened about 8 or 6 minutes after I gave out the 7.5. Interesting market movement there. All right, there we have it. There is Teddy Covers NBA plays. He's on the Cavaliers and the Bulls, and I'm going to tail the Cavaliers. I love it. Okay, let's move on to college football. And we have a question from Christian Walsh that maybe we can touch on quickly before we get into college football. It says, hey, Jimmy, can you ask Teddy how he does his NFL and college football power ratings?
Sure. Let me talk about the that line move in the Pistons Heat real quick and why that number came down and then got bet back up. The reports I read was that it was more likely that Griffin was going to play tonight. So I think the markets were coming in saying we expect Detroit starters to play, and then the other part of the markets came in saying, hey, you had a bad travel situation, and maybe they won't. So it was two disparate groups in that one. When it comes to power ratings, I'm in a position of strength because I already have ratings. And when you already have ratings, it's much easier. If you're starting to make power ratings, it's a difficult process because you're going to have to go through and find other people's power ratings that you trust and then kind of go through several sets of them and make them your own. But for my circumstance, I started making power ratings when I first moved to Vegas in '98, and I haven't stopped. So I make them in most sports that I do. I don't do it in college hoops. I rely on others, but I do it in my own in NFL, NBA, and college football. And what I'm doing on a week-in, week-out basis, I go through it. And this is one of the, I love it. This is one of my most favorite things to do, even though it's long and tedious and boring. When you finish it, you're like, hey, this is a bet on team. Hey, this is a bet against team. Oh, my number here is a half point, slightly off. What I'll do is I'll go through every box score and recap. I spent most of the night Saturday night, most of the morning Sunday, all afternoon Sunday afternoon, and then most of the night Sunday night, going through every single game, box score and recap. I'm not looking to ESPN for the recaps. I'm looking for local papers. That's where you pick up the real info. From that, as I go through every box score and as I go through every recap, the two teams I'm looking at, I adjust their power ratings. I adjust them up. I adjust them down. I don't move them at all. It's going to be based on injuries. It's going to be based on current form. It's going to be based on statistical profiles. And those are the adjustments that I make week in, week out. When I find myself way off on a team compared to the market, I'm not adjusting my numbers until the results show that my number was way off and the market number was the right one and mine was wrong. I'm not going to say, oh, well, my number's 13 and the markets are at 22. I better adjust my number. No, I'm going to be very comfortable with my number until proven otherwise. But the process is real simple. You start somewhere and then you adjust. And you do it every week and you do it methodically. And if you take a week off, the process is solved because you're already back to square one. So it's the kind of thing that if you do thoroughly and systematically every week, you'll become a better handicapper. There's no way around it. So I encourage you to do that.
I love it. Very, very great answer. I loved it. We have another question here, and I think I just skipped over it quickly before we break down all of the college football spots. There was a question from Ronnie Christie about futures, and let me grab it here. I don't know. Oh, there we go. He has, does Teddy like Heat and Celtics to win their respective divisions? Quick question on NBA futures from Ronnie Christie. If you want the Celtics right now to win the Atlantic, you get plus 425 because the Sixers are minus 200. This is at Bet 365. And if you want the Heat, they're minus 225, big favorites to win the Southeast. What do you think of the Celtics and Heat to win their respective divisions?
Well, it's funny because like NBA divisions, like I don't even think about them a whole lot. If you're going to bet futures, these are the type of futures I much, much prefer as opposed to who's going to win the title. I really do. When it comes to trying to get value with two teams that have started off the season exceeding expectations and looking good, that's where at least part of the issue for me comes into play, because it's certainly better to do it now if you think that these type of results are going to continue. And Boston at the big plus. Look, I'm not going to talk yet of Boston at the big plus price in that division. I'm really not. Even with Toronto and Philly, and even with the injury to Hayward, I think the Celtics that's a reasonable price to ask Boston to win that division. And I think Miami is clearly the best team in the Southeast. So we're talking about laying $2 again. There's worse bets you can make. The only problem I have is with the timing. These are bets that should have been made a week or 2 weeks ago, and you're making them today. You're not getting the best of the number, but and you're not getting the value that you would have otherwise. But in terms of win probability, I think the Celtics are a decent chance to win the East, and I think that the Heat should deserve to be the favorites in the Southeast, for whatever that's worth.
All right. I like it. Interesting stuff. I don't have futures in the NBA at this point right now. None. All right. Let's talk about Teddy's action. Sorry, this is November 12th. Let's go to November 11th. So Teddy went to the window already and gave us 5 looks on his college football card, and then he was thinking about making 4 more. So he gave us North Carolina +5, San Diego State -1.5, Indiana +14.5, Minnesota +3, Michigan +3. He was waiting to see if he could get to 28 with New Mexico, if he could get this +7 with Wyoming, +7 with Cal, and +7 with Texas. Did you get there on any of those spots?
One of the 4. The New Mexico game, I am officially... I don't know that I'm playing New Mexico. Remember, I talked yesterday. I'm like, this is my leak. My leak is the games where the dogs are 14 or more. And there I am looking at a 28-point dog in a game where they're outclassed and they're going up in the cold. And I may still get to New Mexico, but I haven't gotten there yet, even though the 28's out there. The one that I did make the move on was Texas +7 against Iowa State. And I understand Iowa State's spot, and this is their desperation game, and yada, yada, yada. I'll still take Herman as an underdog, and 7 is enough. So I took the 7 with the Longhorns. That's the only college football bet I've made in the last 24 hours.
7 with the Longhorns. Great job from Charlie. The 7-legger +6091. 6,091. I love hearing that. Okay, let's get to work. We have questions coming in. Let me again move to November 12th, where the questions. Eric Brunner getting it started saying, can you ask Teddy about the under in Georgia Auburn? We spoke of this game a little bit yesterday. Do you think that Eric should pull the trigger on the under in Georgia Auburn?
So I wouldn't talk you out of it. It's a play that makes sense. That being said, when you're talking about unders in the mid-40s and you're talking about 2 teams that have playmakers on all 3 units, that's what concerns me the most. When you get the non-offensive score, again, last night's game, Seahawks-Niners, great example. The 2 teams barely had 500 yards of offense, but both teams made a bunch of plays on D, and game went over the total with room to spare. So this game has that potential. Georgia can score on defense. Auburn can score on defense. Georgia can score on special teams. Auburn can score on special teams. Both teams are capable of getting the quick strike, big play touchdowns on offense. So while I respect these defenses tremendously, I'm not betting the under. There are too many quick strike opportunities for me in this one. Wouldn't talk you out of it, but like I said yesterday, these are the type of unders that you get bad beats with. You really do, because of the playmaking ability and the fact that 1 or 2 plays, big plays, can turn a good-looking ticket into something you're ripping up into shreds.
John Williams with the next question. It says, can you please ask Teddy about Florida Mizzou, rotation number 389, 390. Missouri opening up at 6.5, and we now see 7s on the board. What do you think of this spot, Teddy?
So obviously they're expecting Kelly Bryant to play, otherwise we wouldn't be seeing this point spread. It's a number that surprises me a little bit. It's one of those that stands out like a sore thumb in terms of the Gators. Missouri hasn't done anything in weeks. Missouri's been a bad football team. I'm reluctant to back them here, even I understand that they're a home road dichotomy team and they played much better in Columbia. Mullen's not. The Gators are on a little roll. They're not. I stepped in front of Florida last week and I paid the price to do so. Not a team I'm interested in standing in front of here with a Missouri squad that has all kinds of issues at quarterback right now and all kinds of issues on the offensive side of the football. If Bryant plays and I get a report out of practice that he looks great, maybe I would think about the other way. But really, there is a class difference between these two teams this year, and I think it's the point spread here is warranted for Florida to be laying this price.
Michael Irvelina thinks that Cal can upset USC this weekend. Cal, USC opening up at -5.5, and they're taking money. That's now 6.5. There's a 6 at Heritage, 6.5 everywhere else. This total sitting at 48.5. Do you think Cal can upset USC?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you want me to do more?
No, that's good. If you believe that can happen, that seems like a juicy spot at 6.5 points. Why do you think the market has moved at a point in USC's favor?
Because the markets seem to like to get USC wrong every week. It's happened a lot. If you're tracking those USC line moves, you're seeing consistently the market's getting the Trojans wrong. What we saw last week at a USC, where they went to Arizona State, completely dominated the game, and then were life and death to win at the end. That's USC. The talent level is there. The execution is not. For Cal, it's probably the opposite. The talent level on offense for Cal is pretty dicey. Monster had a good game last week, and he's someone who I haven't had a lot of respect for. And off one good game, off a bye, maybe we ask him to have another good game here. And Cal defensively, we know that team's good. They've been good. And that hasn't changed despite the offensive struggles this season. So you have Cal on a potential uptick. This is a team that underachieved dramatically early. And teams like that you can make money with in November. No problem with the Bears plus the points in this one.
Bears plus the points. That does sound like an interesting look here. Reese asking about Michigan State. I know we talked about it yesterday. Have you had more time to think about making a move here? Michigan opening up at 14.5, now 13.5 point favorites in this total at 44. What do you think of Michigan State, Michigan?
I'm probably not going to. I really doubt I end up getting involved in this game. I wasn't interested in the dog at 14.5, not interested in the favorite at 13.5, which means the key number isn't mattering all that much to me. The markets always often assume that the team that suffered a brutal beat is just going to be, they're done. The next week they're going to, that they're not going to bring it. And we see it all the time. We see it in NBA. We see it in Major League Baseball. We see it in the professional sports, certainly. In the NFL, look at the Jets 1 week after 1 week after the Dolphins kill them, and the Jets come back and play a good offensive game. So the worst of a team is not a necessarily the team that you're going to see. And what we saw from Sparty last week was the best they can play and the worst they can play in the same game. So when we talk about what Michigan State's going to do, I don't think they hang their heads. I think they come to play. I think they battle in a real way. But is that going to be enough for an offense that just can't move the football against a defense that is pretty dominant? And if the Wolverines get the chance, they're gonna kick this team. Slightly into the under, but again, not in this total range. It's a little bit too low. I really doubt I get involved in this one.
Sebastian Arnold asking about rotation number 381, 382. Says, can you please ask Eddie his thoughts about Baylor plus 10 at home versus Oklahoma? And then Raven in the Desert saying he likes the under 67. It's gone up to 68.5 at Heritage. Side total. Do you have any angle with Oklahoma Baylor?
So it's a Baylor team that's not getting respect, obviously, when you look at this point spread. And perhaps it's deserving, but I could only take the undefeated team as a double-digit home dog against a squad that isn't playing defense the way that they need to play defense in order to cover these point spreads. That being said, there was a lot of talk from the Sooners locker room about how lucky they were and how they escaped and how they have much better than they were and the defense can play. I'm not sold on that necessarily. I lean Baylor here and I lean over here, but I'm not necessarily. I don't have either one on my must bet list on a Tuesday morning.
We will be asking about spots or tonight's card, so don't worry about that. Those of you wondering if we are going to get to those, we will. We will. Questions coming in. Christian Wall says, Teddy, does Navy have a chance against Notre Dame? Notre Dame opening at -10, now 9.5 across the board. Navy, Notre Dame. Does Navy have a chance?
Navy's given them some real battles. And they've certainly been a bet-on team from a point spread perspective. And it's the offense that Notre Dame only faces once a year, and there are times that they struggle with it. Notre Dame's going to slow the game down, or Navy's going to slow the game down, et cetera, et cetera. So there are reasons to think that Navy's going to be able to stick around here, but this point spread is, it's light. If I was catching Navy plus 2 touchdowns, all right. In this point spread range, the markets have priced it such that the whatever perceived value there was with Navy, I'm not seeing in this number. It's not a game again that I expect to be involved with.
All right, let's keep rolling here. Looking for a rotation number and can't seem to find it. We have a question coming in from Jeremy Williams. Says, ask Teddy about Louisville -3.5 at NC State. And for some reason, I can't find the rotation number. What do you think of this spot?
I'm tempted. I'm tempted by Louisville. I know I don't want NC State. Things have gone south. Doran's under fire. With Ryan Finley in the NFL, the quarterback situation for the Wolfpack isn't good. And for as badly as Louisville got smacked by Miami last week, there's still a lot to like about this Cardinals team. I do worry about the defense here, but it's not like NC State's putting up points in bunches against anyone these days. Lean Louisville, lean over.
Lean Louisville, lean over. More questions coming in. This is also from Jeremy Williams. He wants to know what you think about rotation number 321, 322, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech opening up at -5.5, and this total sitting at 52. Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Teddy.
Well, I've been wrong consistently about Virginia Tech. So they're a team for me that I've kind of put them to the wayside right now as a squad that I'm not putting a lot of time with, because when you're wrong about a squad repeatedly, you don't bang your head against the wall. Let's figure out ways to lose with the betting honor against this team again. Both squads have shown bet on in recent weeks. Georgia Tech's a heck of a lot better now than they were in September. And teams like Georgia Tech that were so awful early that are now playing at a reasonable level, they tend to be teams you can make money with down the stretch of an NFL season. But on the other hand, so's their opponent. And Virginia Tech has been a real undervalued commodity for the better part of more than a month now, where the markets haven't gotten them right. So not a game that I got a strong take. I'm sorry I can't give you more than that.
Eddie Euler wondering what you think of the total in rotation number 399, 400, 16th ranked Wisconsin and Nebraska. Eddie Euler leaning towards the under. It opened at 51. It's still at 51. No movement. Still at -110 at Pinnacle. What do you think of this spot, Wisconsin, Nebraska?
Nebraska for me is a hard team to bet a game under because I don't trust their defense one iota. Although their offense has been every bit as bad as their defense. That's why they've been such a point spread disaster area. But at least the offense showed signs. When they hang 27 in that Purdue game with Martinez back, that maybe they can put up some points here. Wisconsin's defense dominant at home. I don't know that it's the same unit on the highway. And when the Badgers can run like they should be able to do here, the offense is quite capable. So I haven't looked at the weather forecast for this one yet, but my initial lean would be over, but it's not. It's just a lean. It's not anything don't let me talk you out of the under if that's the way you like it, and you've handicapped the game fully. But my first lean is definitely in the other direction.
All right, first lean in the other direction. We have a question from Prince of the City. Friday night, Louisiana Tech, Marshall, 3:15, 3:16. Marshall opening up at 2.5. It's gone down to 2 at BetOnline. This total sitting at 56. You can get 56.5 at Heritage. La Tech, Marshall.
Good game, huh? And a game with a ton of implications. Although these two teams may well meet for the title, but the winner of this game will get that game on their home field. La Tech's been on a heck of a run. What have they won now? 8 in a row? And quietly. There's no betting bandwagon or no significant betting bandwagon for the Bulldogs and all of that. I'd probably lean in their direction. Although, from a defensive standpoint, Marshall's been pretty darn good. Hard game. The type of game that really, I expect to come down to one possession at the end. And I don't like to lay points in those games. Although, much easier to lay 2.5 than it is to lay 3 in a contest like this one.
No doubt. All right, let's talk about tonight's action. We have Eastern Michigan, Akron. Akron, a bad football team. This total opened at 50, now 46.5. Eastern Michigan, 17-point favorites, although you can get 16.5 at Bookmaker. Eastern Michigan, Akron, tonight. What do you think, Teddy?
No. No. Why? I don't want to lay this price with Eastern Michigan, all right? They're not a good football team this year, flat out. And they certainly are not a team that I trust to win by margin on the highway, even against a bottom feeder. It's not like Akron's not looking at Eastern Michigan going, hey, we got a chance to do something against this team on national TV at home. Let's end this schneid. Of course they are. Eastern's no elite squad. I can't lay it with Eastern. And, of course, Akron hasn't scored an offensive touchdown since September. That's all you need to know about Akron. They've been really bad, and you're not going to make money even in November betting on bottom feeders in college football. So I don't want side. I don't want total. I don't want anything in this game. The other game maybe, not this one.
Well, let's talk about that other game, Western Michigan, Ohio. Western Michigan at -1, opener at Pinnacle, still there, and -1s across the board. This total opened up at 62.5. Now we see 63s and a 63.5 at BetOnline. Teddy, Western Michigan, Ohio.
I think Western Michigan's better than Ohio, aren't they? I mean, again, the eye test. Western Michigan's passed it, and Ohio not so much. And I understand that, it's a must-win game for the Bobcats at home. Western wants this division title. It's a must-win game for them as well. I look at the Broncos as being the better of these two teams, certainly on the offensive side of the football. And on the defensive side, there's not a dramatic difference. And it's a veteran Western Michigan squad who we trust to win games in the highway. And the offensive line is loaded for them, so we trust them to continue putting up points. I would be Western Michigan or pass for me in this one. I am not interested in the Bobcat side. This is not one of Frank Solich's better squads for Ohio U.
Let's talk about Kansas State and then Kansas. First off, West Virginia at Kansas State, 23 in Kansas State. Kansas State opening up at -14.5. It is 14 at some books, although a couple of them, 5 Dimes, Bovada, Intertops, actually a lot of them are at 14.5. Excuse me. The only ones at 14 are Pinnacle and BetOnline. This total in West Virginia, Kansas State opened up at 50. It's dropped down to 47.5. Teddy, West Virginia, Kansas State.
What's that rotation number real quick?
Oh, my fault. Sorry. Rotation number 319, 320.
Right on. Yeah, I was just looking for my info right there, and I all of a sudden couldn't find it. I know we don't want West Virginia. All right. Again, when you have the bad teams where things are going south and it's November and you're going on the highway, I know they hung tough at Baylor. Maybe they hang tough here, but this offense is not moving the football on any type of consistent basis. They're getting off to these rough starts every week. It's a lost season for a team that is, has an NFL quarterback in Will Grier in the NFL right now, and without him, it's been a problem. Maybe Holgorsen was holding everything together for a place that's not necessarily a natural fit to be a contender year in, year out in the Big 12. So I guess it's K-State or pass a priori for me, and K-State coming off a loss, and all they've done is cover numbers of late. They've been a point spread machine, and certainly capable of winning games by margin at home. but they're not a let's lay multiple touchdowns with this offense type of team. We haven't seen that from K-State. The explosiveness, I mean, there was some of it in the Oklahoma game, but it's not an offense that I trust to make big plays in bunches, and that's what I want in this point spread range. So if I had to play it, it'd be K-State. Maybe look at the under because I don't trust West Virginia to do a whole lot. But this is one that, it's the slightest of leans. It's not anything I feel strongly about.
Next up, Kansas, Oklahoma State. Rotation number 375, 376. Oklahoma State opening up at -17. Now 17.5 at BetOnline, but 18 everywhere else. And this total stuck at 65.5. Teddy, Kansas, Oklahoma State.
So I want to ask a question. I mean, does anyone out there make money with Oklahoma State this year? Because this team's been freaking random to me. I mean, really random. I talk about teams that I don't want to bang my head against where I'm just not getting them right. And Virginia Tech is one of those teams. Oklahoma State's another one of those teams for me. I haven't been able to figure them out. I haven't been able to figure out when they're going to show and when they're not going to show. I don't think they're very good defensively. They're not a team I'm excited about laying a price with. But the offense has made enough plays to cover a whole lot of point spreads. They've been real money makers at 7-2 ATS. But I don't feel like I've got a great read on them. Kansas off the K-State loss in the bye. In theory, it's supposed to be a bet-on spot. And remember, prior to the K-State loss, it was a 2-point game against Texas and a 3-point game against Texas Tech where they were competitive in these contests. Maybe they're competitive here, but Okie State for me has been a very difficult read. Not a strong opinion game for me at all.
And we have some questions coming in about NFL, and the Thursday nighter is what is being asked about. Steelers, Browns. Browns open at -3. They're down to 2.5. There's still a 3 at BetOnline, 2.5 everywhere else. This total opening up at 40.5, now 40 across the board. Teddy, you had a great read on the Steelers last week. Are you going to back them again on Thursday night?
I'm not betting against them. I mean, what we've seen from Cleveland is, and so I really spent, I watched the game closely against Buffalo. I did a bunch of reading after the game and I spent a fair bit of time thinking about the Browns. Why? Why can't Cleveland score in the red zone? Why is the offense struggling the way that it is? Why isn't the defense making the plays they're supposed to make? I think it's Baker. Baker is not having, to say he's not having a good year is something of an understatement. And obviously, it's easy to blame Kitchens because the attention to detail hasn't been there for Cleveland. But yes, the Browns are off the schneid. And yes, they deserve to be favorites in this game. All that said, when you have a team like Pittsburgh that is digging deep and finding ways week in, week out, I only want the Steelers here. And I don't want the rookie coach on the Thursday night game. That's what Kitchens is. And Kitchens has been overmatched more than once this year. So for me, again, it's the public play. It's the obvious play. It's the Steelers. I want the good defense that's making plays, not the bad defense that isn't. But again, the markets aren't going to go crazy with Pittsburgh. They're like, oh, it's all positive turnover differential. And they shouldn't be. They're not a team that's locked into this positive turnover differential. They got a crappy quarterback and a crappy offense. And those are the type of teams that make mistakes and turn the ball over, which is true. But from a defensive standpoint, the teams that cover point spreads on defense every week are teams that retain their value. The Steelers have been that team for the better part of the last month, and I wouldn't be surprised if that team again on Thursday Night Football.
The marquee game on the card is Patriots-Eagles, and it's going to be discussed a lot throughout the week. Patriots opening up at -3.5 at +103 at Pinnacle. They're now -3.5 at +100. There's 3.5s everywhere. Bovada with a 4. This total opened up at 45.5. It's down to 44.5. What do you think about this giant game Sunday afternoon, Patriots-Eagles?
I would only take Philly. And again, it was the same thing with the Ravens game, and it was probably a mistake. But I've found over the course of the last decade that when I find reasons to bet against New England, there's a ton of reasons to bet against New England. I'm not a Patriots believer. I don't think the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl this year for this year. Their stats are so off the charts good because they faced all of those litany of miserable teams over the first half of the season that from a statistical profile standpoint, New England's actually an overvalued commodity. I worry about the Patriots over the back half. I do. And I certainly look at Philadelphia as a team that didn't live up to expectations over the first half of the campaign. Off the bye, I worry about the Eagles' skill position talent. And the injuries at receiver. I worry about that a lot. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Philly give them a game. And the Patriots, to me, are not a team I'm looking to back right now.
And Big Ragu, 5 units on New England. Farshed saw me saying Patriots 10-0 after a loss and a bye week. Wow, can't wait to talk about that game throughout the week. There he is, Teddy Covers. You can see him here every morning on Betting with the Bag, Monday through Friday, and loving his looks. Let's go over them one more time. This is Teddy's action on Monday. North Carolina +5, San Diego State -1.5, Indiana +14.5, Minnesota +3, Central Michigan +3, and he has now added Texas +7 to his card. In NBA, he's on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I jumped with him in that spot, and he's also on the Chicago Bulls. Teddy Covers, thank you so much for joining us, my man. Enjoy your Tuesday, and can't wait to see you tomorrow morning.
Hey, I look forward to it, Jimmy. Best of luck tonight, and good luck out there, low baggers. Have a great Tuesday. We'll talk again tomorrow.
There he is. Teddy Covers. Follow him. Teddy_Covers on Twitter. Follow him on Twitter. There you have it. There is our show. So I did end up making moves. Now I'm going to spend more time on this NHL card, but I did end up making moves on the Wild -1 and the under 6, as well as the Sharks -1. I like those spots. In NBA, I'm on the Heat -7.5 and the Cavs +10.5. And then our big late show, join myself and Maxwell Smart and watch Maxwell Smart break down as many games as we can possibly get to. It's wild watching Max work, and I'm looking forward to hammering this card with him. But we have no show without these great cappers in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us with your insights and with your humor, and you make it fun to come to work each and every day. Juan Ruiz says leche. Let's end with a juicy leche right from the cow's nipple. Get after it.
Leche, a los bookmakers.